Hey everybody, Z Garcia here, and today we're going to be competing to build the most prosperous avenue in our city. This is Penny Lane. This is a worker placement game in which you are going to be gathering pennies, the currency in the game. You are going to be building new buildings and utilizing the abilities on those cards to get you the win. Now, two things I want to mention before we get to the overview here. First, this is the gilded edition of the game, which is almost the same as the regular edition. Some of the extra cards are included. The pennies are shiny. Very minor things. It really shouldn't be a big deal that I'm showing you this one. And secondly, apparently the designer, one of the designers for this, has also designed Mintworks, which from what I understand is very similar to this. I haven't played Mintworks, so I won't be making that comparison, but I'm just putting that out there so that you are aware of it. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at how this works. So here's what the game looks like set up for 2 or 3 players. Some of these cards will need to be flipped over to the other side for 4 and 5 players. And then every player is going to have in front of themselves this starting large card here. They will begin with 3 pennies and a little marker to track their victory points, their stars. I'm only showing you one, but everybody would have one of these. We're also going to shuffle up the deck and reveal 5 cards. Put these supplies into place, and you are good to go. So in the game, you are going to be taking actions at this central lane over here in order to claim new cards, new buildings, add them to your own lane, and make more income, generate more victory points, ultimately trigger the end of the game and win. So the game goes basically between 2 different phases. You have the action phase in which you go out here, take different actions, and then we have a refresh phase, basically an upkeep phase, in which we clear some things off and reset what we're all doing. So at the beginning of the game, someone's going to be the start player. They'll have a marker to keep track of that. And they are going to take an action or pass. This continues until everybody passes sequentially. So to take an action, I'm going to place a number of pennies at one of these locations. I might, for example, place 1 penny out here to make some more money, and that's the bank. Now, some of them are going to have a special location, the first one, and that's slightly better. So if you go there earlier, it'll be better. Going here, for example, you pay 1 penny, you gain 2, but if you go to that first spot, you gain an extra. So I might do that. That's a hotly contested spot. So I go there and I get 2 pennies plus the other one for 3 pennies. And it would be the next player's go. And they'll do something, okay? They'll take a couple of pennies, they'll go somewhere. They'll block something. Let's say they blocked that. And that would be to buy a card. Let's say they bought, let's remove one of these. Let's say they bought that, and then we replenish it, all right? Then it comes back around to me. Let's say it's a 2-player game, and I would like to buy one of these cards. When you buy these cards, as you can tell, there are 2 different kinds. There are the residences that go at the bottom, hence have the title at the bottom, and then the other ones, these buildings where you're going to send people, go at the top of your board. So I would like to buy, let's say I want that cobbler, okay? I'm going to go here. It's going to cost me 3 pennies. The first spot got a 1 penny discount, but it's been taken. And I will take this card. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to place it either there or there, and this lane will grow. But if I'm able to make a match with the symbols showing on the sides of some of these cards and the starting board, I'm going to generate some victory points with the stars and maybe some income with the half pennies, okay? So this one might actually not be the best choice for me right now. Let's say instead, and again, I'm ignoring the fact that maybe that is what I want because of the effect, but let's say for the sake of our example, what I actually wanted was this warehouse. I'm going to take the warehouse, I'm going to place it over here on this side, and it's going to fill in an entire penny, 2 halves. That means when I make income later on, when I do the upkeep step, I'm going to generate 1 extra coin. Fantastic. I put that there. And of course, it has an ability, a recurring ability, which happens when the upkeep happens. that says I gain 1 penny for each of that type of building on my lane if the warehouse is filled. And it's filled by having a worker right there. Now again, the players are going to be taking several actions here. Eventually we all pass in a row. Then the round is over. Once that happens, we clear all of these off. We are going to then generate our upkeep. So we're going to make coins. I have 1 built-in coin here, and then that one now, let's say I saved a coin from the first round. So I'm making 2 new pennies, and we are now going to also, if that spot there is empty on our starting board, we place a new worker there, a new character who shows up there. And we begin again with whoever is the start player. So we keep doing this. Now, every time you form a star, say with this card over here, forming a new star, 2 halves, you are going to track that on the strip at the top of your location. So I now have 1 star, so it goes there. As soon as I am able to complete another one, I'll manage that, or a building that says it gives me stars for X or Y, I'll keep track of that. And once I get to 10, it will trigger the end of the game. So that's one thing to watch out for. Now these locations, go ahead and take a look at them so that you know what's going on, the likely things you'll see. But other than that, I think you're there. I also need to talk about these that go at the bottom. They are residences, okay? Let me do that first. Once I buy one of these, this is a nice one. I'll buy that, let's say, and I'll put it there, obviously going through the motions. This is half a penny and half a star, which is fine, but it's nothing. And there is another star right there formed, so fantastic. Now, when you get one of these locations, they come with people who live there. That character lives there. And if I'm able to later on, by taking this action at the Gazette to move this character out, I get to move them out of here and say send them up here. I'm going to not only fill a spot at this building, but also reveal that there's a star below that character, gaining me yet another victory point. All right, and that's the way that goes. So let's take a look at these. Basically over here, like I said, you get to make some money. Over here, you get to become the mayor, which is going to be star player next time, and it also pays you that 1 penny you spent back, so it's free. Over here, you are going to buy new cards, set them into play. This is going to allow you to buy a card blindly from the top of the deck for 3 coins. You might be saving money, you might be overspending, you also don't know what you're getting. This is going to let you swap 2 cards out here. And you can pay multiple times actually to do that. You can swap 2 and then swap another 2, however you want to do that. This one lets you move people. And again, if they would come from this spot, this self-refilling spot, or from the folks who live in on your lane, they would go from there to the spots at the top over here, or they would go to one of these 2 cards, which is the other way. You know, you can pay here to send people up or send them over here. And these 2 are different ways to generate pennies as well. So there you go. That's basically it. There's not a whole lot else to it. A lot of the game, of course, I'm not explaining because it comes from the interactions between these cards, the things you take and why you take them, and the combinations you make and the things that generate a lot of money or a lot of victory points or combo well together. I'm not going to go into that, of course. There you go. That should be enough to give you an idea of how the game works. That's Penny Lane. Let's go back up top. Let me tell you what I think of it. Mintworks is one of those games that I've simply never had any interest in playing. It's tiny, too small. It seems like more gimmick than game. But if it's similar to this game, I just might have to go back and give it a try because I really like Penny Lane. Now, of course, Penny Lane is larger than Mintworks and it feels a little more engaging. The smallness of the package is not on the gimmicky side, but on the, wow, they packed a lot of game into this small box. That's where I want that equation to be. Let's go ahead and talk about this. The things I liked, and they're plentiful. Let's start there. The theme of the game, it's whimsical, it's quaint. I like the setting a lot. I think it's a neat concept. I like building up my avenue, my streets. I think I like it. I like the whole concept is a very relaxed, charming idea. The aesthetics are also very nice. They're charming, they're well made, the illustrations, card quality is good. I actually don't like the shiny pennies all that much, which is interesting because they are supposed to be the fancy edition of a regular component. I find them kind of distracting, and they are on the small side. They are a little bit fiddly. I'll talk about that a little later in ease of play. The replay value here is nice. There's a few different paths for you to try. So you will come back and be able to try new things, have your development, have what's available, go a different way, and hence give you a feeling of not just repetition, but another try at something I'm assuming enjoyed and wanted to try again. So that's nice. The replay value is there. Game arc is one of the bigger positives here because the game is going to give you a really nice development for being such a short playtime. That's very interesting. You know, there is a lot of game in this little box, like I said. And that's not to say that there's more game here than in a big box game. I'm just saying it surprised me with all the fun little permutations that I could have happen, with how nicely one round, you know, even in one round, things evolve. And by the second round, I'm doing things that I wasn't doing 2 rounds ago, and it just keeps building. I really enjoy that build in this game. The tactics, strategy, luck, it's nice. You know, there are some spots that are seemingly always taken first when it comes to the worker placement part of the game. But what I've noticed is that tends to shift a little bit as the game goes on, especially towards the end of the game. So some of the tactics, and again, this might be groupthink also, some of the worker placement spots just seem better, seem smarter choices, seem more like they'll be taken more frequently. And I guess that's fine. That's why you want the star player token. That makes that spot valuable. But having said that, and you know, this is certainly not the only worker placement game that has places on its board that are like that. I enjoy the abilities at your disposal. I like the worker placement in this game. This is a game that manages to have all the places it makes available to you make sense, be interesting at one point in the game or another. And that is great. I sometimes find some worker placement games that have spots out there that are just there because the designer or a developer at some point along the way came up with an idea. It didn't need to be there. Some players will take it because other things are gone, but it doesn't feel as vital. This one is so small and so clean that it feels like everything that's there needs to be there for this to function the way it does. So I like that. Lastly, my only, not negative, but it's not a positive either, is the ease of play. Okay, and this is my main drawback for the game. The ease of play is the game's a little messy, visually speaking. The rulebook could be a little better, and you are going to, as the game progresses, have to be mindful of where you've made a whole penny, especially the stars you can track. But if you want to double check that you're on the right spot, you need to recount your stars. It's just visually a little sort of messy, but you know, not too bad. Again, it doesn't get a thumbs down from me or anything. And there are some things in the rulebook that seem to be, like I said, a little less than clear. For one thing, I'm fairly certain this is missing in the rulebook. They don't tell you to replenish. There are 5 cards on the table. When you take one, you should replenish it. I couldn't find it. I just figured out you were supposed to. So things like that. Clarity. So that's it from me for Penny Lane. I like it, as you can tell, and this is going to get an 8 out of 10 from me. That is a nice seal of approval, and I'm enjoying it. This is a neat one. I recommend it if you like the theme. If you want a game that's charming, again, kind of a quaint setting, a nice worker placement game, very pleasant, not too much nastiness, not a lot of confrontation except people taking your spots, and you want to build something that's yours, that looks pretty on the table, Penny Lane just might be for you. And of course, if you want one that's quite small as well. So there you go, 8 out of 10. Again, from me, I'm Z Garcia. I'll see you on the next one.